So this is what the error check window looks like. So the first two items are about the ELV and RoHS regulations. So basically what happens is when you declare a substance like lead in this case that is restricted under certain regulations, it prompts you to select an exempted application for it. So it doesn't entirely fit in the window. Yeah, sorry, it's a bit hard to see. But yeah, essentially you can either select an exemption from the list. You can click no exemption if like the substance or the part is like non-compliant, or you can click below threshold if the substance is below the threshold for restriction. So yeah, in this case, we'll just click below threshold. It's not, I don't think it is below threshold because lead is like 5%, but for this, yeah, just for the sake of the example, we'll click below threshold. Let me resend. And yeah, and then in this case, for RoHS, we would do the same thing where we pick an exemption. Here we'll do exemption 6. It's 6A. Let's say, I mean, either way, once again, like lead is 5%, so it's not gonna fit under any of the exceptions at all. So yeah, we'll click no exemption in this case. And yeah, for ELV, actually, let's click no exemption as well, just for the sake of consistency. Yeah, so we can do the error check again. Sorry, let me just recenter. So we'll do the error check again, see what's left. So applicable optional reporting: if none of the substances subject to reporting applies to your operation, please give checkmark to substances for optional reporting. So this basically means that any substance that isn't restricted under any of these regulations, you would have to click the optional reporting. And that's basically just you saying like, I don't need to report the substance because it's not restricted, but I'm choosing to anyway. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward, and thankfully anytime you do an error check, it will highlight all of the sections, so it's pretty easy to like figure out what it is you need to do. And the last thing is the mass of general information is not entered. That's something we didn't do before. So basically, before you finalize, you also need to put in the mass of the whole product. So to do that, you click return to general. So thankfully, whenever you kind of like switch around between sections, everything is saved automatically, so you don't really have to worry about losing anything. It's saved if you move around, but if you close the window, it will not save, and it will not prompt you to save. So that is another tip. Make sure you save very often, because if you like accidentally close the window, it's not gonna like ask you to save it before closing. It's just gonna close and it's not gonna save anything. So just a tip for you. But yeah, so for here, we'll put, you know what, let's just fill this part out now. Product name, example, so you just put the name, the number, and then here you would put, I mean, I guess if it's a number, it should be like an actual number. Here you put the mass, so let's say the mass is something like 50, well, we said that it was 5 grams and then 0.5, so let's say it's like, so it'd be a 5.5 grams. And then reporting unit, so piece, in this case, because if we're talking about one screw, it's like one piece. And valid, so you just put like today's date. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the like essential things to fill out. We can also come back to this like once we're done everything. But yeah, so going back to composition, oh wait, actually it's 0.05, so we'll put 5.05 grams just for the sake of consistency. Okay, and the reason why it's important to get the numbers correct is because I'm pretty sure if you try finalizing it and all of the mass, if the mass doesn't add up to the mass that you put in the general section, so the total mass, so if this does not add up to this, it's going to be a problem. So yeah, and I think that should be it. So if we do error, no error, so that means this is good, so we can find. And basically what finalizing does, it allows you to export the chemSHERPA report. So if the composition and compliance sections aren't finalized, you'll only be able to temporarily save it. So if I turn to general, you'll only be able to temporarily save it. Right now, like let's say we tried to output, sorry, one second. If we tried to output, it wouldn't let you because there are, I mean, one, there are a bunch of things that are, that we haven't filled out, but also for compliance, it says compliance information is not finalized. So yeah, it won't let you finalize it if all of the sections aren't completed. And if you only want to do composition or you only want to do compliance, you would put that here. So let's say that you only wanted to fill out the compliance section, you would uncheck composition, and then in that case, it would let you finalize it without the composition being filled out. But for our case, we are going to have these two. And yeah, so now that the composition section is finalized, we can head to the compliance section. And the way that the compliance section works is you essentially will only declare the substances that are present in your part. So you don't need to make a declaration of like, it doesn't have XYZ. You just need to say it has these substances, and then it will like kind of imply that it doesn't have anything else that's restricted. So in our case, we only have lead. Well, that's not true. We have lead and nickel. So the first thing that I typically do is I will just search for all of the substances that I know are present in the product. And I'll just like tick the on column. So here we have lead, and then we can actually search for nickel, and then we can search for lead again, because specifically in chemSHERPA there is a section for lead for REACH, and then there's a section for all of the other regulations. I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe because they just like separate the SVHCs from everything else. But yeah, so I've clicked all the substances, and then I'm going to click show on only, and now it's only showing these substances, so I don't have to worry about anything else. And yeah, so let's say for the first example, so this is lead. So essentially you would, so I guess, so here you would essentially choose which regulations you want to report for, because here it says reportable applications. Yeah, like let's say you only want to report for RoHS and REACH, and like battery directive cables, like, yeah, like if these regulations don't apply or aren't relevant to you, or like you just don't want to report for them, you don't need to. So you would basically choose yes for the regulations that you want. So in this case, this is RoHS, the 0.1% massive total lead and homogeneous material is RoHS. For nickel, so nickel's regulation is for NX17, and the reportable application is all where prolonged skin contact is expected. For the sake of this example, we can just like let's say like the screw is in this, like, I don't know, like it's in the product in a way that the user or the installer isn't expected to make contact with it. In that case, then you can uncheck this and not report it because it's not, its usage isn't applicable under NX17. So for this example, we're gonna say that that's the case. So we can delete that, and then so now we only have lead. So we have lead for RoHS and we also have lead for REACH, and the reporting threshold is 0.1% mass of article. So yeah, we can click yes, and then you can click batch no, and what this will do is any regulation, so for all of these regulations, it'll click no for everything that you didn't already click yes for. And that just makes things really easy, because when you kind of come back to this, you can say show on only, show why only, and then that really just like isolates which regulations are relevant to you. So once you've done that, you can say the content rate. For our case, we're just gonna say the content rate is 1000 ppm. And then quantity of content, so this is where you're gonna do some math, and you would just multiply the content rate by the total mass of the part, or of the like
homogeneous